Right now, in this exact moment, something is occurring inside your consciousness that you've accepted as absolute truth your entire life. A river of mental commentary streaming endlessly through your inner experience. And you've believed, without ever questioning it, that these thoughts belong to you, that you're the one creating them, that they reveal who you fundamentally are. But what you're about to discover will completely transform how you relate to your own mind and the reality it perceives. And once this recognition lands, there's no going back. Everything changes in the seeing. So here's what I want you to do right now. Just watch your thinking. Don't try to direct it or silence it. Simply observe. Notice how thoughts materialize in your consciousness without you giving them permission to appear. You didn't consciously decide to generate the thought that just moved through your awareness. It emerged complete and fully formed in the space of your mind. And this is the question that shatters the entire illusion. If you weren't the one who consciously created that thought, then where did it actually originate? Most human beings never pause to ask this. They experience thinking and immediately collapse into identification with it. I'm thinking this thought, therefore this thought is me. But what neuroscience has now confirmed, and what ancient wisdom traditions have understood for millennia, is that by the time you become consciously aware of any thought, your brain has already been processing that thought for somewhere between 300 and 500 milliseconds. You're not authoring your thoughts. You're witnessing them, becoming aware of them only after they've been assembled by unconscious mechanisms that you have zero direct access to. This isn't abstract philosophy. This is verified, measurable reality. In the 1980s, a researcher named Benjamin Libet ran experiments that demonstrated conscious awareness of a choice happens after the brain has already begun executing that action. What you perceive as your decision, your thought, your deliberate choice, is actually a retrospective story about processes that unfolded before you were consciously aware of them. Let that sink all the way in. The inner voice you've been identifying as I isn't generating original material. It's narrating material that's being delivered to it from unconscious processing systems operating beneath your awareness. And this is where everything becomes revolutionary for your lived experience of reality. When you believe thoughts belong to you, you grant them tremendous authority. Every thought that surfaces carries the full weight of your identity. If a thought of fear appears, you become the fear. If a thought of anger emerges, you become the anger. If a thought of limitation arises, you accept it as defining your actual limitations. But the instant you recognize that thoughts don't belong to you, that they're simply phenomena appearing in consciousness the way clouds move through sky, everything transforms. You stop being dominated by thinking and begin witnessing it. And reality, which has been organizing itself around your unconscious fusion with thought patterns, starts responding to something far deeper, something more genuine, something that was always present underneath the mental noise, the direct experience that dissolves the illusion. I want you to engage in something right now that will give you immediate, direct experience of what I'm pointing to. This isn't conceptual understanding. This is experiential proof. For the next 60 seconds, I want you to attempt not to think. I'm serious. After this paragraph, pause everything. Set a timer for 60 seconds and try to have absolutely zero thoughts. Pure awareness with no thinking. Do this now before you continue. What happened? If you're being honest with yourself, you'll notice that thoughts continued appearing despite your clear intention not to have them. Maybe you had a brief window of stillness. Then suddenly a thought about dinner later tonight, or a memory from last week, or a judgment about this very exercise. The thoughts showed up uninvited, unwanted, and entirely beyond your conscious control. This straightforward experiment reveals something profound. If you cannot control whether thoughts appear, then you cannot be the generator of thoughts. You are the awareness within which thoughts appear. This distinction might seem minor, but it's actually the difference between being imprisoned by mental patterns and being liberated from them. If this recognition is landing for you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving these consciousness-shifting transmissions. Here's the practical breakthrough that most people completely miss. Once you recognize you're not the thinker, you can stop battling your thoughts. Right now, you likely have a complicated relationship with your thinking where you believe certain thoughts, resist other thoughts, attempt to control specific thoughts, and feel shame about particular thoughts. It's completely exhausting because you're treating thoughts as though they're you making absolute declarations about what's real. But what if thoughts function more like a radio station that's perpetually broadcasting in the background? Sometimes it plays music that resonates with you. Sometimes it plays static. Sometimes it transmits fear, worry, and constraint. The radio station doesn't define your being. You're the awareness that perceives the radio. And just as you can shift channels on a radio without identifying with whatever was playing before, you can allow thoughts to move through without identifying with their content. First transformational practice, the thought identification method. For the next 7 days, engage with this practice every morning for 5 minutes. Sit in a comfortable position and simply watch your thoughts. Each time a thought materializes, mentally identify it, not with criticism, just with clear observation. Planning thought, memory thought, anxiety thought, imagination thought, judgment thought. Don't interact with the substance. Don't pursue the thought sequence. Just identify and release. What you'll begin noticing by the 3rd or 4th day is that a space opens between you and your thoughts. You're not the thoughts. You're the open awareness that can observe thoughts appearing and disappearing. This develops what scientists call metacognitive awareness, the capacity to think about your thinking, to witness your mental activity from a perspective that's not tangled up with it. And once this metacognitive awareness becomes stable, reality begins responding to you differently because you're no longer transmitting the scattered frequency of unconscious thought fusion. The origin point of repetitive thoughts. Now that you understand thoughts don't belong to you, let's go even deeper into their actual source. Because once you trace thoughts back to where they originate, you gain the capacity to shift what kinds of thoughts emerge in your consciousness, which fundamentally shifts what reality you experience. Your brain functions as a prediction engine. It's perpetually attempting to forecast what's going to happen next based on what's happened previously. Every single experience you've ever had becomes encoded into neural pathways, pattern recognition systems that activate automatically when comparable circumstances present themselves. These patterns produce thoughts that appear to be about your current situation, but are actually recycling old interpretations, old anxieties, old conditioning from previous experiences. This is why you experience the same thoughts repeatedly. They're not fresh responses to present circumstances. They're automatic patterns operating on repeat. And you've been fusing with these loops as though they're your original, authentic engagement with life. Let me offer you a concrete example. Imagine you're approaching a challenging conversation with someone. Before the conversation even begins, thoughts start materializing in your awareness. This is going to be uncomfortable. They're going to become defensive. I need to rehearse what I'm going to express. What if they dismiss what I'm requesting? These thoughts feel like they're you preparing for the interaction. But here's what's actually unfolding. Your brain is retrieving memories of previous challenging conversations, extracting patterns from those experiences, and generating forecasts about this upcoming conversation based on those historical patterns. The thoughts aren't responding to this present moment. They're replaying history and projecting it forward. And because you fuse with these thoughts as yours, you enter the conversation already broadcasting the frequency of past challenging conversations. Your nervous system becomes activated before anything has actually occurred. Your body language transmits defensiveness or tension, and the other person subconsciously detects this frequency and responds in kind, which then validates the thoughts that came before the conversation. You've generated a self-fulfilling loop by identifying with thoughts that were never about the present moment to begin with. Second transformational practice, origin tracing. Here's how to interrupt this pattern. For the next 14 days, whenever you notice a recurring thought pattern, especially one that generates emotional activation, engage in this practice. Pause and ask yourself, when is the earliest time I can remember thinking this exact thought or experiencing this exact feeling? Don't force a response. Just hold the question in your awareness and allow your memory systems to surface what they surface. Often you'll trace the thought back to a particular experience, usually from childhood or teenage years. A moment when something occurred that installed a conviction, an anxiety, a pattern of self-defense. The thought you're experiencing now isn't about your present circumstance. It's that old experience replaying itself through current conditions. Pause here for a moment and share in the comments. When did you first notice a recurring thought pattern that you realize now wasn't actually yours? What old experience installed it? Once you locate the source, you do something transformational. You recognize that the thought is not a response to what's happening now. It's an echo from the past. And echoes hold no power except the power you assign them by believing their present reality. Document what you uncover. The thought, "I'm inadequate," originates from being compared to my brother at age 8. This thought is not about my present capabilities. It's an outdated recording playing. This recognition alone begins dissolving the thought's authority because you've stopped identifying it as your authentic response. You've recognized it as obsolete programming, and obsolete programming can be reprogrammed. The electromagnetic frequency system. Now let's connect this understanding to how reality actually responds to you, because this is where comprehension becomes tangible transformation. Your thoughts, despite not originally belonging to you, generate an electromagnetic frequency that transmits from your nervous system into the field surrounding you. This isn't spiritual speculation. This is documented scientific fact. The HeartMath Institute has measured the electromagnetic field produced by your heart, which radiates between 8 and 10 feet from your physical body in every direction. This field contains information about your internal condition, and it's continuously being detected by other people's nervous systems, by animals, by plants, and by what quantum physicists identify as the zero-point field, the fundamental energetic substrate of reality itself. When you identify with your thoughts, believing they're you, your electromagnetic field transmits the frequency of those thoughts. If you're thinking anxious thoughts and fusing with them, your field transmits anxiety. If you're thinking limiting thoughts and believing them, your field transmits limitation. And reality, which isn't separate from you, but rather a responsive field that you're embedded within, organizes itself around the frequency you're transmitting. This is why people can engage in all the manifestation techniques, all the visualization practices, all the positive affirmations, and still experience identical patterns. They're attempting to transmit a new frequency through conscious effort, while their unconscious identification with thought patterns is transmitting a much more powerful, more consistent signal that contradicts their conscious intentions. But here's what shifts when you stop identifying with thoughts. Your electromagnetic transmission is no longer dominated by mental patterns. Instead, it begins emanating from a far deeper source, from the awareness itself, from the spaciousness that exists prior to thinking. And this frequency is coherent, steady, and powerful in ways that thought-based frequencies can never achieve. Consider it like this. Thoughts generate a chaotic, fluctuating frequency, constantly shifting based on whatever thought emerges next. But awareness, the space within which thoughts appear, maintains a consistent, coherent frequency. It's like the difference between attempting to transmit a clear radio signal while someone's perpetually changing the station versus transmitting from a stable frequency that sustains its coherence regardless of what content is playing. And here's where most people get stuck. They understand this conceptually, but don't know how to actually shift their electromagnetic broadcast from thought-based chaos to awareness-based coherence. This is precisely why I created Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, where I walk you through the complete system of moving from unconscious thought transmission to becoming the coherent broadcast itself. What we're exploring today is one pathway, but the book reveals the full architecture of how consciousness shapes reality through 9 master frequencies. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Third transformational practice, the awareness anchoring method. This practice trains you to shift your identity from thought to awareness, which shifts your electromagnetic transmission from chaos to coherence. Practice this twice daily for 10 minutes, morning and evening. Sit in a peaceful space and close your eyes. Take 3 full breaths. Then allow your breathing to return to its organic rhythm. Now, instead of attempting to stop thoughts or control them, simply notice that you're aware of them. There's a thought materializing, and there's awareness of that thought. Shift your attention from the thought itself to the awareness that's witnessing it. Ask yourself, what is this awareness that's noticing my thoughts? Where does it reside? What does it feel like? You'll likely notice that awareness doesn't have a location. It's not in your skull or in your physical body. It's more like a spacious presence within which thoughts materialize. Rest in the recognition of this awareness, not as an idea, but as direct experience. Thoughts will continue arising. That's completely fine. Each time a thought materializes, notice that you're aware of it. Then shift your attention back to the awareness itself. You're training your nervous system to identify with awareness rather than with the content arising in awareness. After 10 minutes, open your eyes. But here's the essential part that most people overlook. Attempt to sustain that awareness as you move through your day. When you're conversing with someone, notice that you're aware of the conversation. When you're consuming food, notice that you're aware of eating. When thoughts arise, notice that you're aware of thoughts. This generates what I call awareness momentum. The more you practice recognizing yourself as awareness rather than as thoughts, the more your electromagnetic field transmits from that coherent space rather than from chaotic thought patterns. And reality responds to this coherent transmission with synchronicities, opportunities, and experiences that were impossible when you were transmitting from thought identification. But there's another layer to this that most people never discover. The thoughts you're experiencing aren't just from your personal past. They're also being pulled from a collective field that you're unconsciously tuned into. Which means that by shifting your frequency, you're not just changing your personal reality, you're also disconnecting from collective patterns that have been running through you without your awareness. The collective thought field. Here's where this understanding becomes even more profound, even more reality-altering. Not only are thoughts not originally yours, many of them aren't even produced by your individual brain. You're accessing what could be understood as a collective thought field. And most human beings have absolutely no idea this is occurring. Have you ever observed that certain thoughts appear to be more widespread during specific periods? Entire populations suddenly preoccupied with the same subjects, experiencing similar anxieties, sharing common fixations. This isn't random occurrence. This is evidence of collective thought fields that individual consciousnesses tap into and mistake for personal thinking. Researchers investigating collective consciousness have discovered measurable correlations between global events and random number generator outputs distributed across the planet. When something significant occurs that captures collective attention, random number generators that should produce entirely random sequences begin showing non-random patterns, as if the collective focus is influencing probability fields at a quantum level. What this indicates is that consciousness is not isolated within individual brains. It's more like individual receivers tuning into a broader field of consciousness that contains thought patterns, belief structures, and emotional frequencies shared across populations. You can verify this through your own direct experience. Observe your thoughts over the coming days. Notice how many of them concern things you're not directly experiencing. Concerns about the economy you absorbed from news sources. Worries about global situations that don't impact your immediate life. Opinions about people you've never encountered. These thoughts didn't originate from your direct experience. They entered your awareness from the collective thought field, and you adopted them as though they were your original thoughts. This is simultaneously unsettling and liberating. Unsettling because it reveals you've been even less in control of your thinking than you realized. Liberating because once you recognize you're accessing collective thought fields, you can consciously choose which fields to tune into and which to tune out. Fourth transformational practice, the thought categorization investigation. For the next 21 days, practice this investigation every evening. Take 10 minutes to review your day and organize your thoughts into 3 distinct categories. Category 1, direct experience thoughts. Thoughts emerging from what you're actually experiencing in the present moment. This beverage is warm. I'm experiencing fatigue. That sky is stunning. These are responses to immediate sensory input. Category 2, personal history thoughts. Thoughts emerging from your individual past experiences and memories. These are the patterns we explored earlier. Replays of outdated programming specific to your personal life. Category 3, collective field thoughts. Thoughts about things you're not directly experiencing but have absorbed from media, conversations, cultural narratives, concerns about situations happening in distant locations, opinions about circumstances you've never personally encountered, beliefs about how reality operates that you adopted from others. Document examples from each category. What you'll uncover is that Category 3 thoughts, collective field thoughts, likely comprise 60 to 70% of your daily thinking. You've been investing most of your mental energy processing thoughts that have nothing whatsoever to do with your actual life, your direct experience, or your authentic responses to reality. Once you perceive this clearly, you can make a revolutionary choice. You can stop engaging with Category 3 thoughts entirely. When a thought emerges about something you're not directly experiencing, something you absorbed from the collective field, you simply allow it to pass without engagement. You don't suppress it. You don't resist it. You just don't invest attention in it. This practice alone can reduce your mental noise by more than half, which means your electromagnetic transmission becomes dramatically more clear. You're no longer amplifying collective fears, collective limitations, collective patterns. You're transmitting from your direct experience and your awareness itself. And what most people don't realize is that this shift in what you're broadcasting creates an entirely different relationship with the field of reality itself. A relationship where reality can finally respond to your authentic frequency, rather than the borrowed frequencies you've been unconsciously carrying. How reality responds to awareness. Now let's make this extremely practical by showing you precisely how reality begins responding differently once you stop identifying with thoughts. Because this isn't merely about inner peace or spiritual realization. This is about fundamentally transforming what manifests in your actual lived experience. Reality functions as a responsive field, not a fixed objective structure. Quantum physics has demonstrated that observation influences outcomes at the subatomic level. But what most people fail to understand is that this isn't confined to laboratories. The identical mechanism operates at every scale, including the scale of your daily life. When you identify with thoughts, you're observing reality through the lens of those thoughts. If you're thinking and believing relationships are challenging, you're observing reality through that filter. And reality, being responsive to observation, organizes itself to correspond with that observation. You notice the challenges in relationships. You unconsciously gravitate toward relationship dynamics that confirm the challenge. You interpret neutral situations as confirming your thought pattern. But here's what unfolds when you stop identifying with that thought. When the thought, relationships are challenging, emerges, and you recognize it as merely a thought, not as truth, not as your authentic knowing. You're no longer observing reality through that filter. The thought can be present in your awareness, without you believing it, without you transmitting it as your operating frequency. From this space of non-identification, you're observing reality more directly, without the distortion of thought-based filters. And what you'll discover is that reality is far more malleable, far more responsive, far more saturated with possibility than your thoughts ever suggested. Let me offer you a concrete example of how this operates. Let's say you've been thinking, money is difficult to acquire for years. This thought generates an observation filter that causes you to notice all the evidence supporting it. You perceive the effort required. You notice when opportunities fail to materialize. You experience the strain of financial pressure, but you're not consciously choosing to generate this experience. You're simply identified with a thought pattern that's observing reality through a specific lens. And reality is organizing itself to correspond with that observation because that's how the responsive field operates. Now observe what happens when you stop identifying with that thought. The thought, money is difficult to acquire, emerges. But instead of believing it, you recognize it as a thought. a pattern possibly inherited from parents, possibly absorbed from collective fields. Definitely not the ultimate truth about reality. From this non-identified position, you're no longer locked into observing reality through that filter. You become available to notice different dimensions of reality. Opportunities that were always present but filtered out by your thought-based lens become visible. Synchronicities that were always occurring but dismissed as coincidence register in your awareness. Actions that feel aligned become obvious where previously you only perceived actions that required struggle. This isn't positive thinking. You're not replacing money is difficult to acquire with money is easy to acquire. You're dissolving identification with both thoughts and observing reality from awareness itself, which has no predetermined filters about how money operates. And there's something even deeper happening here that creates measurable shifts in your experience. You're actually changing the quantum field around you by changing what you're observing from. Fifth transformational practice, the reality response documentation. This is a 30-day practice that will provide you with direct, measurable evidence of reality responding differently once you stop identifying with thoughts. Here's precisely how to engage with it. Week 1, establishing baseline. Every evening, document 3 recurring thoughts you notice throughout the day, particularly thoughts about limitations, difficulties, or how reality functions. Don't attempt to change them, just document them. Also, document 3 things that occurred that day in the areas those thoughts concern. If your recurring thought concerns relationships being difficult, document 3 things that occurred in relationships. Week 2, recognizing patterns. Review your Week 1 documentation. Look for correlations between your recurring thoughts and what actually manifested. You'll likely perceive that reality organized itself around your thought patterns. The thought, "people disregard me," was followed by multiple experiences of feeling dismissed. The thought, "opportunities don't find me," was followed by missed opportunities or none materializing. Week 3, practicing non-identification. Now you practice non-identification. When those identical recurring thoughts emerge, use this precise internal response. That's a thought. I notice it. I don't need to believe it or disbelieve it. It's just a thought moving through awareness. Don't attempt to change the thought. Don't replace it with a positive thought. Simply recognize it as a thought and allow it to pass without identifying with it. Continue documenting what unfolds in your day. Week 4, documenting reality shifts. By week 4, if you've been genuinely practicing non-identification, you'll notice reality responding differently. The areas where you had recurring limiting thoughts will begin showing different outcomes. Not because you forced anything, but because you stopped filtering reality through limiting thought patterns, which allowed reality's responsiveness to organize around a clearer observation. Document specific examples of how reality responded differently. Be precise. In week 1, I experienced the thought, "people disregard me" 7 times and encountered 4 situations where I felt dismissed. In week 4, the same thought emerged 5 times, but I practiced non-identification and I encountered 3 situations where I felt genuinely heard and valued. This documentation becomes concrete evidence that reality responds to your relationship with thoughts, not to the thoughts themselves. What shifts have you already noticed in how reality responds to you since beginning this practice? Share your experience below. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Reconstructing identity from awareness. Everything I've shared so far leads to this essential point. If thoughts aren't you and thoughts have been the primary thing you've been identifying with, then who are you actually? This question isn't philosophical abstraction. This is the most practical question you can explore, because your identity determines your frequency, and your frequency determines your experience. Most people construct their identity from thoughts. "I'm someone who experiences chronic anxiety" is just a thought you've believed and identified with so consistently that it became your sense of self. "I'm incompetent with money" is a thought that became an identity. "I'm unfortunate in relationships" is a thought-based identity structure. When you stop identifying with thoughts, these identity structures begin dissolving. And this can feel destabilizing initially, because you've been using these structures to navigate reality, even if they were constraining you. But what emerges in the space where thought-based identity used to exist is something far more authentic, far more powerful, far more aligned with how consciousness actually functions. You discover that your true identity is not any thought about who you are. Your true identity is the awareness itself, the consciousness that can observe any thought, any emotion, any experience without being defined by it. And this awareness-based identity transmits a completely different frequency than thought-based identity. Thought-based identity is perpetually seeking, perpetually comparing, perpetually attempting to maintain or improve itself through experience. It requires constant validation from reality to prove it exists, to confirm it's valuable, to demonstrate it's worthy. This generates a desperate, needy frequency that repels the very things you're attempting to attract. But awareness-based identity doesn't require anything from reality because it's already whole. It's not attempting to become anything because it recognizes itself as the unchanging space within which all becoming occurs. This generates a frequency of sufficiency, of completeness, of inherent okayness that magnetizes aligned experiences because it's no longer transmitting lack or desperation. Take a moment right now and comment below with this phrase: "I am the awareness, not the thoughts." Let that declaration move through you not as a concept, but as a recognition. Signal to the field that you're choosing to identify with what you actually are, rather than what you've been conditioned to believe you are. Sixth transformational practice, the Identity Transformation Protocol. This is advanced work, but if you've been engaging with the previous practices, you're prepared for it. This protocol will shift your identity from thought-based to awareness-based in a way that's tangible and experiential. Phase 1, documenting identity. Days 1 to 7. Create a list of every I am statement you habitually think or speak. I am anxious. I am creative. I'm experiencing financial struggle. I'm seeking love. I'm attempting to build a business. Document at least 20 statements. These are your current identity structures, all thought-based. Phase 2, investigating origin. Days 8 to 14. Take each I am statement and ask, is this what I am, or is this a thought about what I am? Feel the difference between being something and thinking you're something. For example, I am anxious feels solid and defining, but I'm witnessing anxious thoughts, recognizes the thoughts without identifying with them. Rewrite each statement from identity to observation. I am experiencing financial struggle becomes I'm witnessing thoughts about financial struggle. Phase 3, recognizing awareness. Days 15 to 21. Now practice this inquiry daily. Sit quietly and ask, what am I if I'm not my thoughts? Don't answer intellectually. Drop into direct experience. You'll notice you're aware. You're the presence that can observe thoughts, feelings, sensations, experiences. Rest in this recognition for 15 minutes daily. Phase 4, Embodying Awareness Identity, days 22 to 30. Now practice moving through your day from awareness identity rather than thought identity. When someone asks how you are, instead of responding from thought-based identity, "I'm stressed about work," respond from awareness identity. "I'm noticing considerable movement in my life right now." When making decisions, instead of deciding from thought patterns, "I should do this because," decide from awareness. What action feels aligned from this spacious place? What unfolds through this protocol is not that you lose your personality or become some detached spiritual entity. What unfolds is you stop being constrained by thought-based identity structures. You become more fluid, more responsive, more authentic, because you're not defending or maintaining an identity that was never real to begin with. The integration that transforms everything. Everything we've explored points to this integration. Reality doesn't respond to your thoughts, and reality doesn't respond to you stopping your thoughts. Reality responds to the quality of awareness you're observing from. And that quality shifts dramatically when you stop identifying with thoughts as you. This is why monks who've meditated for decades in isolation don't necessarily transform their external circumstances, while some people have profound reality shifts after just a few weeks of practice. It's not about how many hours you meditate. It's about whether you've actually shifted from thought identification to awareness recognition in your lived experience. You can sit in meditation for hours and still be identified with thoughts. You're just identified with quieter thoughts, spiritual thoughts, thoughts about how peaceful you are. But if you're moving through your daily life from awareness identity, even for 5 minutes at a time, you're transmitting a completely different frequency that reality responds to immediately. Let me share what this looks like in practical terms across different life areas, so you can recognize the shift occurring in your own experience. In relationships, thought identification generates relationships where you're constantly managing how the other person perceives you, where conflict feels threatening to your identity, where you require the relationship to validate your worth. Awareness identity generates relationships where you can be genuinely present without requiring anything, where conflict is just sensation and thought patterns moving through without defining you, where connection occurs naturally without effort. In work and creative expression, thought identification makes work feel like proof of your value, makes creative blocks feel like personal failure, makes success necessary to validate your worth. Awareness identity allows work to flow through you without defining you, allows creative blocks to be witnessed without resistance, allows success or failure to be experiences rather than identity declarations. In physical health, thought identification generates chronic stress because every sensation gets interpreted as meaning something about you. Every symptom becomes a threat to your identity. Awareness identity allows your nervous system to relax because sensations can be present without meaning anything about who you are, allowing your body's natural intelligence to regulate more effectively. In financial experience, thought identification generates financial anxiety because money becomes proof of your value or lack thereof. Every transaction carries identity weight. Awareness identity allows money to flow more naturally because it's no longer carrying the burden of proving your worth. It's just energy moving through your experience. The pattern is consistent across every domain. When you're identified with thoughts, Reality has to perpetually confirm or deny your thought-based identity, which generates resistance, struggle, and limitation. When you're identified with awareness, reality can organize itself around the coherent frequency of that awareness, without being filtered through limiting thought patterns. If this understanding is resonating with something deep inside you, if you're recognizing the truth of what's being shared here, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this frequency. Subscribe to this space where we explore the intersection of consciousness and reality, where we practice the art of living from awareness rather than from thought patterns. This is a movement of people who are choosing to see through the illusion and live from what's actually true. 7th transformational practice, the daily integration rhythm. This final practice integrates everything we've explored into a daily rhythm that maintains the awareness identity shift you've been developing. Practice this every morning for 20 minutes minimum. Minutes 1 to 5, recognizing awareness. Sit comfortably and recognize that you're aware. Not thinking about awareness, directly noticing the aware presence that's perceiving these words right now. Rest as that awareness. Minutes 6 to 10, witnessing thoughts. Allow thoughts to emerge. Don't stop them. Don't control them. Practice witnessing them from awareness without identifying with them. Identify them if helpful. Planning thought, anxiety thought, memory thought. Notice the space between thoughts. Minutes 11 to 15, witnessing sensation. Bring attention to physical sensations in your body. Notice how sensations emerge and dissolve in awareness, just like thoughts do. Practice experiencing sensations without generating meaning about them. Just awareness, witnessing sensation. Minutes 16 to 20, previewing from awareness. From this space of awareness identity, not from thought patterns, preview your day. Not visualizing what you want to occur, but sensing into what actions want to emerge from this spacious awareness. What wants to unfold through you today? Not what you think should occur, but what emerges naturally from awareness. Then move into your day, sustaining as much awareness identity as possible. Every time you notice you've collapsed back into thought identification, which will occur repeatedly, that's completely normal. Simply recognize it and return to awareness, not as failure, just as the practice of remembering what you actually are. The recognition that transforms reality. We've explored tremendous ground, but it all distills to one simple recognition that you can verify in your direct experience right now. Thoughts are not you. They emerge in awareness. They dissolve in awareness. And awareness itself is what you actually are. This isn't a belief you need to adopt. This is a direct recognition, available in this present moment. Notice that you're aware of perceiving these words. That awareness is not a thought. It's what thoughts materialize in. It's what you actually are beneath every thought pattern, every identity structure, every story about who you're supposed to be. And when you live from this recognition, when you stop granting thoughts the authority of identity, reality responds to the coherent frequency of awareness itself rather than the chaotic frequency of thought identification. Synchronicities multiply, opportunities materialize, resources flow. Not because you manifested them through technique, but because you stopped filtering reality through limiting thought patterns that were transmitting lack and limitation. The moment you realize thoughts don't belong to you is the moment reality can finally respond to what you actually are rather than what you think you are. And what you actually are is vast, creative, coherent consciousness temporarily experiencing itself through this particular human form. Everything transforms from here. Not gradually through years of practice, but immediately, as soon as you recognize what's actually true. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness witnessing them. And that awareness is transmitting a frequency that reality has been waiting to respond to your entire life. Consider revisiting this video each morning for the next 7 days to allow these recognitions to deepen and stabilize in your consciousness. And if you know someone who's been struggling with overthinking or feeling trapped by their mental patterns, share this with them. When you share these quantum consciousness principles, you're not just passing along information, you're creating an energetic ripple that reinforces your own embodiment of this truth while helping shift collective consciousness one person at a time. Before you go, drop one word in the comments that captures the transformation you're choosing right now. One word that represents your commitment to living from awareness rather than from thought identification. Let that word be your energetic signature to the quantum field. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay coherent with this frequency, to stay connected to this community of people who are choosing to live from what's real rather than what's conditioned. The more of us who embody this recognition, the more the world reflects that truth. The only question remaining is, will you continue existing from the limited identity of thought patterns? Or will you recognize yourself as the unlimited awareness that thoughts materialize within? Reality is waiting for your answer, not your thought about your answer, but the frequency you transmit through the recognition of what you actually are. You are not your thoughts. You never were. And the moment you truly realize this, everything transforms instantly. Now, if you're understanding that you're not the thinker, but the awareness itself, you need to grasp what this awareness actually is and where it exists. Because most people make a critical mistake here. They think awareness is located inside their head, trapped behind their eyes. But awareness has no location. It's not contained within your body. It's the field itself. And once you recognize yourself as this field, rather than as something separate observing the field, reality responds in ways that seem impossible from the thought-identified perspective. That's exactly what we explore in You're Not the One Inside Your Head, the Observer Field Revealed, where we dismantle the illusion of the separate observer and reveal how you are the field experiencing itself. This understanding completes what we've begun here today.